They told you to chase balance. I tell you to chase fire. They said slow down. I say rise up. You do not need peace. You need purpose. You do not need ease. You need obedience to your aim. If balance worked, men would not be tired, scattered, and defeated while trying to hold it. But if you stay here with me, you'll discover the truth. Balance is fear in disguise, and commitment is the only path to freedom. They told you to pursue balance. I tell you to pursue fire. They told you to manage your energy. I tell you to command it. What they called wisdom was often fear in disguise, and what they called moderation was compromise cloaked in polite language. You are not tired because you work too much. You are tired because you've never burned with purpose. Balance is the lie that makes men soft. It whispers that you must slow down, rest more, pull back. It says that intensity is dangerous and obsession unhealthy. But here is the truth. No man has ever built greatness by aiming for balance. Balance does not create monuments. It creates mediocrity dressed in calmness. You cannot balance a fire. You either fuel it or you extinguish it. There is no middle ground. The soul of a man once ignited was never meant to be managed like a budget. It was meant to consume all lesser aims and burn through fear, comfort, and distraction until only the mission remained. You were not born to live a mild life. You were not made to hover in the middle, touching everything but mastering nothing. You were made to burn with intensity, to pursue with obsession, to move toward a definite chief aim with such force that hesitation could not keep up with you. Balance is not control. It is delay. It is the modern man's excuse for never deciding. I need to be more balanced, he says, when what he really means is, I am afraid to go all in. He fears what he will lose by choosing one path, and so he never chooses at all. Anything not pursued with definiteness will eventually die. That is a law. Write it down. Repeat it aloud. Anything you pursue halfway, whether a goal, a calling, or a new identity, will not survive your inconsistency. Because purpose demands exclusivity, and balance demands division. There is no peace in a divided mind. A man with divided allegiance is a man whose energy will be scattered by the first resistance he meets. And when the trial comes, and it will, he will retreat, telling himself that he needs balance, when what he truly lacked was decision. Look at the lives of those who built legacies. Look at Andrew Carnegie. He did not speak of moderation. He did not chase balance. He chased expansion, production, domination in steel, in systems, in structure. His life was not neat. It was not balanced. It was built like an empire, through long hours, singular focus, and unwavering clarity. Carnegie was not at war with himself. He did not try to pursue 10 things. He chose one. And because of that, he gathered the full force of his imagination, his time, and his habits into a single stream. And that stream carved through obstacles until it became an industry. That is the way of the builder. He does not concern himself with balance. He concerns himself with movement. He does not seek a little progress in many directions. He seeks mastery in one. And for this, he is feared, respected, and remembered. The man who chases balance becomes tame, predictable, foggy. His energy is diluted, his decision-making blurred, his conviction watered down by the need to keep everything in harmony. But the man who chooses purpose above balance becomes dangerous. The man of purpose moves with clarity, speaks with precision, walks with weight. He is not available for every conversation. He is not present at every event. He does not say yes to every invitation. He does not manage life. He commands it. You must choose now. Will you be known for managing balance or for enforcing purpose? Because you will not be known for both. One leads to peace with no legacy. The other leads to legacy with no apology. And yes, there will be discomfort. There will be sacrifice. But those are the conditions of greatness. And once you accept them, the fire becomes easier to maintain. Because when a man accepts discomfort, he becomes unstoppable. When you pursue with intensity, your world simplifies. Your choices become easier. You are no longer confused because your mission has already decided your next move. You don't need 10 options. You need one aim and full obedience to it. Stop trying to manage a flame. Feed it. Give it oxygen. Give it hours. Give it structure. Let your old self burn in the furnace of your definite chief purpose. Let your distractions starve. Let your soft habits be suffocated by repetition and fire. And now I give you the truth in one line. Balance is the great lie of the uncommitted man. It is his excuse, his shield, his disguise. But once you see through it, it dies. And in its place, obsession is born, not madness, but sacred madness. The kind that builds steel, the kind that breaks fear. And now, your affirmation. Say it aloud. Let it enter the subconscious that once believed the lie. I was not born for balance. I was born for purpose. I pursue without pause. Again, I was not born for balance. I was born for purpose. I pursue without pause. Because from this moment forward, you will no longer strive to stay comfortable. You will strive to stay committed. And commitment has no room for balance, only fire. Balance is not wisdom. Balance is fear wearing the mask of discipline. It sounds respectable. It sounds responsible. But underneath, it is cowardice dressed in reason. Men speak of moderation, not because they are clear, but because they are afraid to choose. They want success without cost. They want power without pressure. And so they aim for nothing with intensity. The man who says, "I'm just trying to stay balanced," is often the man who is avoiding commitment. He is avoiding the burden of choosing one aim and saying no to all others. He would rather juggle ideas than obey one mission. And why? Because once he decides, he must act. And once he acts, he is accountable. And that terrifies him more than failure ever could. Fear disguises itself in language that sounds wise. It says, don't burn out. It says, be realistic. It says, be careful not to go too far. But it never says, give everything you have. It never says, go all in. It never says, make a decision and never look back. Because fear has only one goal, to protect your comfort, even if it costs you your destiny. The average man listens to this voice. He obeys it because it speaks softly, calmly, convincingly. But the man of power hears that voice and recognizes it as the enemy of growth. He does not argue with it. He does not debate it. He ignores it. He moves anyway. Let me give you the truth. Every time you hesitate, you invite fear to take root. Every moment spent weighing options that have already been made clear by your heart is time lost. Decision backed by desire is the beginning of all greatness. Not analysis, not emotional comfort, but decision. Sharp, final, and followed by action. Do you want to know why most men never break through? It is not because they are not smart. It is because they want to be safe. They want to play without pressure. They want to walk without risk. And so they dress fear up in balance, and they stay stuck in the middle. The middle is death. The middle is where dreams go to die, not from violence, but from drift, from indecision, from the slow erosion of purpose through the constant juggling of unchosen options. You must choose. And once you choose, you must decide not to unchoose when it gets hard. Look at Henry Ford. He was not known for balance. He was known for vision, for simplicity, for relentless pursuit of a single aim. He was not interested in opinions. He was not concerned with critics. He did not ask for permission to be obsessed. He decided, and that decision reordered the industry of the world. Ford removed complexity because he knew it was a breeding ground for hesitation. He simplified his aim to one idea, put the world on wheels. And from that decision came factories, systems, revolutions. He did not try to balance, he tried to finish. That is your model. Where are you using balance to avoid action? Where are you saying, I need more time, when what you need is a clean yes or no? Where are you telling yourself not yet, when the fire has already called you? Find that place and replace it with movement. Because until you move, you do not believe. Until you act, your fear still governs you. And the only way to kill fear is to starve it of delay. You will not feel ready. That's irrelevant. You will not feel fearless. That's expected, but you must act, because action in the presence of fear is what builds the new man. Balance keeps the old man alive. Drill yourself now. Write down the decision you've been delaying. Then write what you've been telling yourself to delay it. See the fear underneath the language? Then move. Without talking, without waiting. Choose direction. Choose fire. Choose now. Because fire makes the path visible, not safety. And direction gives life shape, not balance. And now your affirmation. Say it slowly, with force, as if it is a blade that cuts the tie to indecision. Balance is fear. I choose direction. I choose fire. I choose now. Again, balance is fear. I choose direction. I choose fire. I choose now. From this point forward, when the voice of moderation speaks, you will know its name. And you will obey it no longer, because you have chosen. And the man who has chosen cannot be moved. The mind was not designed to chase 10 things. It was built to serve one. One purpose, one direction, one obsession. This is not weakness, it is power. And until you choose one definite aim, you will continue to be divided, distracted, and derailed by the illusion that you are progressing. Definiteness of purpose is not merely helpful, it is essential. It is the root of all sustained success. It is the anchor of clarity, the engine of action, and the sword that cuts through every excuse that balance tries to dress in virtue. The man who attempts to divide his attention across many paths believes he is being productive, but in truth he is watering down his own destiny, because no great mountain is climbed by those who hesitate between trails. The man who gets to the summit is the one who chooses one path and burns the rest. You cannot serve two masters. That is not poetry, that is law. If you split your attention, you split your strength. If you entertain multiple aims, you dilute the intensity required to finish even one. If you seek to balance between missions, you never fully submit to any of them, and your results will reflect that hesitation. Balance spreads you thin. Purpose gathers you. It brings every thought, every decision, every breath into alignment. Purpose makes your yes automatic and your no unquestionable. You stop thinking about distractions because they no longer compete. You already chose. And once you've chosen, everything else becomes clear. Time becomes sacred. Energy becomes precious. Decisions become fast. Doubt loses its voice. And you, for the first time, become dangerous. You no longer carry options. You carry fire. Let me give you the law plainly. The man who knows what he wants and backs it with decision will attract the power to achieve it. This is not motivation. This is spiritual arithmetic. When your mind is clear, when your will is locked, when your actions are consistent, the world cannot resist you. Opportunities appear because you are no longer blind to them. Indecision blinds. Definiteness reveals. Look at the lives of men who changed history, not through speech, but through singular vision. Look at Thomas Edison. He was not a man of balance. He did not schedule leisure. He did not ask if he was working too hard. He slept in short bursts, sometimes at his workbench, surrounded by his inventions. He did not rest until the thing he saw in his mind was real. He lived as one possessed, but not by confusion, by devotion. He believed in what had not yet appeared. And because of that belief, and because of that devotion to one aim, he bent reality around it. You are no different. The only difference between the obsessed and the distracted is that one has decided, and the other is still considering his options. You must choose, you must decide, you must eliminate. What is your one aim? Say it aloud. Not the thing you hope will work, not the goal that pleases others, not the safe answer. I ask you to speak the fire, the one that has stalked your spirit for years. Speak it, then write it. And when you write it, remove everything else. Remove the smaller goals. Remove the side paths. Remove the plan B. Remove the idea that you need 3 things to feel secure. You don't need more goals. You need more submission to one. When you have one aim, the mind gains force. Your subconscious begins to work for you instead of against you. You begin to notice what you once ignored. You begin to move with rhythm, and that rhythm produces power, speed, certainty. The man who chooses one aim becomes his own ally. The man who juggles many becomes his own enemy. You are not here to try 10 things. You are here to finish one thing with such force that the world must adjust itself to your decision. And if fear tells you to wait, move anyway. If logic tells you to diversify, focus anyway. If others tell you to be practical, declare your aim anyway. You will never be fully ready, but you are always capable of deciding. You must now guard this aim. You must wake with it. You must speak it before the world has a chance to interrupt you. You must look at it every hour and measure your actions against it. And anything that does not serve it must be cut off. Do not negotiate this. Do not explain this. Do not apologize for this. Live for one aim. Serve no distraction. Obey no second master. And now your affirmation. Say it aloud. Breathe into it. Let it rewrite the voice that once chased comfort. I live for one aim. I serve no distraction. I obey no second master. Again, I live for one aim. I serve no distraction. I obey no second master. Because from this moment forward, you are not a man of scattered focus. You are a man of singular obedience, and that obedience will make you unshakable. The reason most men remain unfinished is not because of opposition, but because of comfort. Not because the dream was impossible, but because the man chose rest before he chose results. He told himself that life was about balance, and in doing so he built a schedule around fatigue, not fire. He surrendered motion for moderation. He silenced the voice of purpose by listening to the voice of permission, the voice that told him he had done enough, worked enough, pushed enough. But that voice does not come from destiny. It comes from distraction, and every time you obey it, you trade forward motion for emotional relief. You step back from pressure, and you call it peace. But there is no peace in unrealized potential. There is only the lingering unrest of knowing what you should be doing, while excusing yourself with the language of the average. Comfort becomes the altar upon which most potential is sacrificed, and the sacrifice is never dramatic. It is quiet. It happens in late mornings, in skipped rituals, in conversations about how important it is to have balance. Balance says you've done enough for today. Purpose says you are not finished. Balance waits for inspiration. Purpose operates under oath. And that oath is this: I will not stop until the thing I said I would do is done. That is the vow of the man who finishes. That is the code that separates those who speak from those who construct. And every time you lower your standards for comfort's sake, you violate that oath. You begin to drift. Not because of pressure, but because you have stopped building. You do not grow stronger by avoiding discomfort. You grow stronger by working in spite of it. And the more comfortable you seek to be, the more fragile you become. Comfort is not your reward. It is your test. It shows up to see if you've built enough structure within to say no to what feels good and yes to what builds character. The man who is ruled by comfort will never build completion. He will talk. He will explain. He will plan, but he will not finish. Because finishing requires the denial of everything that calls you back to softness. You must now become the man who wakes not to feel good, but to go to work on the structure of his own mind. This means that your morning cannot be ruled by comfort rituals. It must be ruled by construction rituals. That means silence before noise, writing before scrolling, planning before reacting, repetition before creativity, and movement before emotion. You must wake and enter the furnace, not the couch. The furnace is made of stillness, decision, and motion. It is where the old self dies and the new one is built again, brick by brick, on the altar of repetition. That repetition, while simple, is sacred. It is the mark of the man who has already decided who he is and is now shaping himself by the hour. Look at John D. Rockefeller. He was not social. He was strategic. He did not attend every meeting. He did not chase public presence. He remained in solitude for long hours, thinking, structuring, watching. He built not through charm, but through restraint, not through personality, but through posture. His power came not from being everywhere. It came from being unavailable to anything that was not his aim. While others balanced meetings and leisure, he conserved energy and intensified focus. That is why he built empires while others built resumes. That is why he shaped markets while others shaped conversations. Because his solitude was not laziness, it was leadership. You must reclaim this posture. You must remember that your life does not reflect your intention. It reflects your priorities. It reflects what you actually do, not what you dream about. It reflects what you say no to, just as much as what you commit to. It is a mirror of the habits you have enforced. And if those habits revolve around comfort, convenience, and temporary relief, then your life will speak of inconsistency, not fire. You must begin to take inventory of your days, not by how they felt, but by what they produced. You must measure your hours in bricks laid, not in how well balanced you appeared to be. You cannot become elite while choosing ease. You cannot create a new identity while obeying the old rhythm. You must now change your rituals, and to change your rituals, you must detach from emotional impulse. This means waking when it's hard, sitting in silence when you want stimulation, saying no when you want approval, going to work on your aim while others waste their hours justifying their softness. This is the line between average and exceptional, and most men never cross it. Not because they couldn't, but because they chose ease over endurance. Now I give you your drill. From this moment forward, replace every comfort-based ritual with one that builds structure. Replace passive time with purpose. Replace entertainment with effort. Replace stimulation with silence. Replace softness with steel. Your new morning begins with silence. Your new hours are measured in output, not approval. Your new voice is not emotional, it is instructional. Your day begins not with reacting, but with declaring your aim aloud, reviewing your plan, and moving before the world has a chance to influence your rhythm. And now, I give you your affirmation. Say it with posture. Say it as if your old identity can hear it. I trade comfort for clarity. I trade ease for structure. I trade balance for excellence. Again, I trade comfort for clarity. I trade ease for structure. I trade balance for excellence. Because your comfort will not remember you, but your structure will build a life that cannot be ignored, and that life begins now. Every man lives with two selves. One seeks comfort, the other demands conquest. One whispers permission, the other demands obedience. One says, "You've done enough." The other says, "We've only just begun." These two selves are not equal. One is trained by fear, raised on compromise, addicted to ease. The other is born from decision, strengthened through structure, and fed by fire. And they are at war inside of you every day. The self you've been living as, the one who uses balance as a shield and delay as a strategy, he is not your highest self. He is the old self, the one you were conditioned to become by comfort, environment, and emotional rhythm. This self is soft-spoken in public but loud in private. He talks when nothing needs to be said. He plans when action is required. He feels his way through the day instead of commanding it. He looks for reassurance instead of rising in repetition. He doesn't want clarity, he wants comfort. And you must now kill him. This is not philosophy, it is war. And in war there is no compromise. The old self must be denied oxygen. And that oxygen is casual speech, lazy thought, and unfocused days. Every time you fall into reaction, into comfort, into expression without purpose, you are giving oxygen back to the man who should be buried. You are breathing life into your own enemy, and that enemy is not your boss, not your background, not your circumstances. It is the version of you who has not yet decided to become something final. The other self, the one you must now obey, is not emotional. He does not seek relief. He does not chase opinions. He lives by law. He rises by structure. He does not wait to feel like moving. He moves anyway. He does not ask to be liked. He asks to become undeniable. He is not measured by his balance. He is measured by his completion. This is the voice you've heard in quiet hours, in frustrated mornings, in sleepless nights. The voice that says, "There is more in you than this." That voice is not an idea, it is a command. And that command is the beginning of discipline, the kind of discipline that turns identity into legacy. But that voice cannot rise in a man still feeding his old self. You must starve him. You must cut off the fuel supply. This means silence in the morning, not music, not stimulation, not noise. This means fasting from distraction, not just food, but from your old impulses to reach for comfort every time discomfort shows its face. This means waking with your aim on paper, your decisions already made, your words chosen only when necessary. It means acting before speaking, building before sharing, declaring your intent not to others, but to your own subconscious, with repetition and fire. You must learn to live by spiritual energy, not emotional reaction. And spiritual energy comes from order, obedience, and clarity of aim. Every act of obedience to structure weakens the old self. Every repetition of your aim reinforces the new one. And though the old self will resist, complain, rationalize, his voice will grow fainter the more you move without negotiation. Let us speak now of Abraham Lincoln. Few men carried heavier internal weight. He was no stranger to despair, confusion, or darkness. But he did not chase relief. He did not talk about balance. He anchored himself to duty. When his emotions burned hot, he did not express them. He wrote them in letters he never sent. He spoke less. He thought more. He built his strength through silence, through reflection, through repetition of responsibility. And in doing so, he became a presence so immovable that a nation could lean on him without collapse. You do not overcome your old self by escaping pain. You overcome him by outlasting him. You become the new man by building patterns so strong, so fixed, so repeated, that there is no room left for who you used to be. You eliminate that man by no longer feeding him, not with soft talk, not with lazy days, not with scattered focus. You walk past his grave every morning and declare, "I will not feed what I already buried." Now I give you your drill. Identify 3 ways in which the old self still appears in your life. Where does he still speak? Where does he still decide? Where does he still distract you? Write them down. Then write how you will cut off his oxygen. This might mean deleting an app. This might mean cutting a conversation. This might mean changing the first hour of your morning. Whatever it is, do it now. Do not think about it. Do not prepare. Take action before your emotion catches up. You must become a man of fast correction. The new self does not negotiate with weakness. He issues orders. And those orders are executed before comfort has a chance to make an argument. And now your affirmation. Say it aloud, not for motivation, but for identity installation. I follow the man I am becoming. I do not feed the man I must bury. Again. I follow the man I am becoming. I do not feed the man I must bury. Let that phrase become your standard. Let it judge your days. Let it lead your mind back to focus every time you drift. Because this war is not about balance. It is about transformation. And transformation only happens when one version of you dies and the other finally gets to live. You have been told that obsession is unhealthy, that it is dangerous, that it is unbalanced. But I tell you that obsession is divine. It is the highest form of mental discipline when married to a worthy aim. It is not recklessness. It is obedience to the deepest call of your spirit. You were not designed to dabble. You were not formed to tiptoe through life with equal attention divided across hobbies and half decisions. You were made to serve one mission, and to serve it with such focus that the world would either move with you or be left behind. All great men were called obsessed. They were called extreme. They were called intense. And they did not care. They did not soften their pace to earn approval. They did not slow their hands to appear balanced. They followed their one aim like a man crossing a desert with a single canteen. They did not stop. They did not reconsider. They did not take surveys. They continued. And that continuation, backed by burning desire and precision of purpose, is what transformed their lives into legacies. Let me be absolutely clear. Balance maintains. Obsession transforms. Balance keeps you where you are. It manages your time. It protects your comfort. But it does not produce power. It does not carve identity. It does not magnetize opportunity. Only obsession can do that. Only obsession can reach the higher faculties of the mind. Only obsession can activate the bridge to infinite intelligence, the unseen power that begins to move with you once you have proven that you will not be shaken. I taught it this way. Only through intense focused desire does the mind reach into infinite intelligence. Not through interest, not through ambition, not through well-organized routines, through intense focused desire. That is the requirement. And that requirement is the price of greatness. If you cannot give yourself fully to your aim, you will never be trusted with its reward. You cannot enter the secret chambers of power while still flirting with balance. I did not write these words from a place of moderation. I wrote them from a place of fire. I spent over 25 years immersed in a single mission to define and document the laws of success. I interviewed men of wealth, men of industry, men of destiny. I studied their habits, their character, their rituals. I lived inside the question until the answer formed. And when it did, I obeyed it without distraction. I was not called balanced. I was called committed. I was not called flexible. I was called fixed. I was not interested in many things. I was obsessed with one. And so must you be. You must now pick your aim, not as an intention, but as a lifetime assignment. And once you pick it, you must guard it with jealousy. You must build a gate around your time, your attention, and your speech. You must refuse to explain your obsession to the undisciplined. You must silence their calls for realism. You must eliminate their advice about not going too far, because you are not here to impress them. You are here to obey what has been placed within you. And the man who obeys fully will always be misunderstood by the man who dabbles. Now let me give you your drill. You will build a daily obsession window. This is not negotiable. This is sacred. 3 hours every day. Unbroken, undisturbed, undistracted. These are your consecrated hours. You will not take calls. You will not scroll. You will not check messages. You will not multitask. You will enter this time as a priest enters the temple. You will bring your tools. You will bring your goal. You will bring your discipline. And in those 3 hours, you will work as if the world ends at noon. You may say you don't have 3 hours. That is a lie of priority. You have 3 hours. You've given them to nonsense, to chatter, to balance. Take them back. Restructure your life around your fire, not your fatigue. Restructure your day around your aim, not your distractions. You are not a man of excuses. You are a man of enforcement. This window, repeated daily, will do more for your life in 90 days than years of balanced living ever could, because consistency is currency. And when your subconscious sees that you are no longer playing, it will begin to cooperate. When infinite intelligence sees that you are no longer divided, it will begin to respond. When your spirit sees that you have chosen, it will unleash capacities you did not know you possessed. This is not hype. This is law. And the law is this: power flows to the man who gives his full attention. Not some of it, not what's left, all of it. You will become known, not for versatility, but for certainty. People will ask how you produce so much. They will ask how you stay sharp. They will ask what your secret is. And you will say nothing, because your results will speak for you. And your results will come not from balance, but from obsession. And now your affirmation. Do not recite it casually. Recite it as a vow. My obsession is holy. My attention is consecrated. My discipline is fixed. Again, my obsession is holy. My attention is consecrated. My discipline is fixed. Let this become your creed. Let this reframe how you walk into each hour. Let this decide what you accept, what you allow, what you pursue. You are not a man of scattered focus. You are not a man who juggles. You are a man who finishes, and obsession is not your enemy. It is your weapon. The hour you rise is not a casual matter. It is a spiritual battleground. The man who wakes slowly, who moves aimlessly, who drifts into the morning without command, is already behind. He has begun the day in reaction, and the man who begins in reaction will spend the rest of his day responding instead of building. Most men lose their strength in the first hour of the morning, not because of how late they woke, but because of how they entered the day. They entered without structure. They sought ease. They sought softness. They chased calm instead of conquest. And because they asked for peace, they gave away the first war of the day without firing a shot. Mornings are not meant for balance. They are meant for structure. They are not meant for drifting thoughts, scattered habits, or emotional wandering. They are meant for order, for clarity, for intensity. The man who wins the morning is the man who has declared, before the world has even noticed him, that his mind is not available for confusion, that his aim has already been reviewed, that his body has already obeyed, that his decisions have already been made. Let me teach you the 5-step morning of fire. This is not a routine. This is not self-care. This is self-construction. This is how great men begin their day, not by waiting for the world, but by commanding their own kingdom. The first step is silence. Before the noise of the day enters, you must enter yourself. Before any words are spoken, before any interruptions arrive, you must claim a space for stillness, not for idleness, but for preparation. In this silence, you awaken the higher voice within. You remind yourself that your thoughts belong to you, and you will not give them away cheaply. You sit upright, you breathe, you wait. And in that waiting, you do not ask, "What do I feel?" You declare, "I already know what must be done." The second step is the declaration of aim. This is the verbal contract between you and your higher self. It is the reminder that you do not live for accident. You live for definiteness. You speak your definite chief aim aloud, not for drama, but for discipline. You say it not in a whisper, but with strength. You do not ask the world for results. You demand them, because you have already chosen the price you will pay to receive them. This declaration is not poetry. It is structure. The third step is the repetition of affirmations. These are not shallow slogans. These are verbal instructions to your subconscious mind. And because the subconscious mind obeys repetition, you must speak your affirmations with force, posture, and breath. You repeat who you are. You repeat what you do. You repeat what you build. And you repeat what you demand. You do not speak these phrases because they are true. You speak them until they become true, because the subconscious believes what it hears most often, not what it hears last. The fourth step is the review of plan. The man who does not review is already lost. The man who does not prepare is already reactive. You must, with pen in hand and clarity in thought, look at your plan for the day. You do not wander through your hours. You assign each one. You do not work when you feel like it. You work because it is written. You do not hope to make progress. You design it. You do not ask, "What should I do?" You state, "This is what I do." You are not waiting for alignment. You are enforcing it. And the final step, the step most men fear, is this: bold action before 9 a.m. While the rest of the world is still asleep in spirit, even if they are awake in body, you move. You take one bold action before hesitation can speak. One message, one construction, one decision, one forward step, one seed of discipline that tells your mind, "Today, I am not available for doubt." Most men wait until the world demands something from them before they respond. But you must act before the world speaks. You must move before confusion finds its way in. This is not pressure. This is protection. Do not underestimate the power of this morning structure. The man who obeys it for 30 days will become unrecognizable to the man he was before. Not because his circumstances will have changed, but because his posture has changed. His rhythm has changed. His internal structure has been fortified. He no longer hopes for productivity. He walks in command. Let me now give you an example of what this kind of command looks like. Andrew Carnegie expected his associates to be mentally sharp and strategically ready by the first hour of the day. He did not tolerate men who drifted into clarity by mid-morning. He demanded that before the sun had risen fully, decisions had already been made. Questions had already been answered. Orders had already been given. Why? Because in his world, delay was weakness. And weakness had no place in the architecture of steel and expansion. This is the energy you must now carry, not as a performance, but as an identity. From this point forward, you are no longer a man who wakes up. You are a man who rises. You do not check in with your feelings. You check in with your plan. You do not wait to be inspired. You speak your fire into the air and you move anyway. Your morning is not an accident, it is a weapon. Use it, and now your affirmation. Say it aloud. Say it from the place in you that has already decided to become more than balance ever allowed. I wake with fire. I train before the world touches me. I move before doubt arrives. Again, I wake with fire. I train before the world touches me. I move before doubt arrives. Because from this moment forward, your mornings are not a time for peace. They are a time for command. There is a power few men ever touch. It is not the power of charisma or intellect or inherited position. It is the power of a man who says no, deliberately, forcefully, repeatedly, not because he is cruel, not because he is arrogant, but because he has chosen one aim and he intends to finish it without compromise. That is sacred. That is strength. That is what separates the man who builds from the man who performs. Saying yes is easy. It pleases people. It sounds open-minded. It feels cooperative. But a man who says yes to everything is a man whose mind is not his own. He is available for every distraction. He is pulled in every direction. He is agreeable but ineffective. He is present but never powerful. Because every yes he gives is a little less strength for his own aim. Most men live this way. They say yes to every invitation. They say yes to every opinion. They say yes to every request, every impulse, every feeling. They dilute their focus with good intentions and spread themselves so thin that they no longer know what they were trying to build. They call it balance. But it is leakage. It is death by cooperation with chaos. The committed man lives differently. He says no, often firmly without guilt, because he knows that his yes must carry weight. And a man whose yes carries weight is a man whose no protects his energy, his time, and his structure. He is not available for conversations that serve no aim. He is not present at events that do not feed his mission. He does not explain his boundaries. He lives by them. You must now become this man, not someday. Now, if you are still saying yes to the things you already know distract you, then you have not yet chosen yourself. If you are still giving time to people who drain you, still listening to opinions you didn't ask for, still checking in with comfort out of habit, you are leaking power. And no fire survives a house full of open windows. Let me give you your drill. Take paper, take pen, and make 2 columns. On the left, write everything that demands your attention that does not build you. Write every habit that burns time, every relationship that drags you back, every routine that leaves you dulled, every piece of noise you've allowed into your temple of purpose. On the right, write your aim, 1 sentence. Clear, final, unapologetic. Then draw a line between them. And where there is no alignment, you eliminate. Do not wait. Do not seek approval. Do not soften it with words. Cut. Because elimination is not cruelty. It is creation. The man who builds legacy is not the man who does the most. It is the man who does the necessary and refuses the rest. Look at Henry Ford. His genius was not in complexity. It was in simplification. He cut processes. He reduced variables. He removed the need for decision wherever it wasted thought. Why? Because he understood that clarity is not born from doing more, but from doing less with precision. You must now apply this to your life. Every time you remove what does not serve the aim, you sharpen your mind. And the mind, once cleared, becomes magnetic to opportunity. Why? Because there is now space for power to gather. There is now silence for truth to speak. There is now room for your identity to solidify. A cluttered life cannot hold clarity. And without clarity, there is no force. There is just activity. And activity is the great seduction of the modern man. He stays busy but makes no progress. He says yes because he fears missing out. But what he misses is himself. His day is full, but his mission is empty. His schedule is impressive, but his legacy is invisible. You must now live by a higher law. That law is, if it does not serve the aim, it does not enter the mind, the hour, or the room. You will lose people, you will lose comfort, but you will gain strength, you will gain force, you will gain a voice so clear that when you do speak, people will listen. Because you are no longer one of them. You are a man who says no to the world and yes to his mission. And now your affirmation, say it without explanation. Say it as a man who has nothing left to prove. I say no to weakness. I say yes to my mission. I follow only what builds. Again, I say no to weakness. I say yes to my mission. I follow only what builds. Because from this day forward, you are no longer a man of compromise. You are a man of completion. You were not created to be average. You were not formed to drift through life in moderation. You were not made to live soft, speak cautiously, act gently, and remain agreeable. You were not designed to tiptoe your way to comfort and call it success. That image of manhood, balanced, pleasing, diluted, is the lie that has kept millions asleep while their power withers in silence. You were made for fire. You were created to burn with a definite chief purpose so intensely that all who meet you are changed. You were built to walk into a room and not explain yourself. You were born to fix your mind on one thing and pursue it with such persistence that the world has no choice but to rearrange itself around your movement. You were given the capacity for greatness, not through gifts, but through discipline, decision, direction, and dominion over your own thought. And if you do not seize that capacity, it will rot inside you until your very body grows tired of carrying an unused soul. Balance is the vocabulary of the man who has not yet chosen. Fire belongs to the man who has. The man who wants to be liked by all speaks of balance. The man who wants to become unshakable speaks only of aim, repetition, and structure. The balanced man says, I need to be careful. The purposeful man says, I need to obey. The balanced man wakes slowly, plans loosely, reacts constantly. The purposeful man wakes with clarity, moves with decision, and completes what he starts without fanfare. Moderation is for the man who has not chosen. Fire is for the man who has decided. That is the dividing line. And once it is crossed, there is no returning. Once you have seen what it feels like to live with direction, real, daily, structured direction, every part of your former self begins to burn. The softness offends you. The scattered mind insults your aim. The old words, old habits, old conversations, they all feel foreign. Not because you're better, but because you're finally becoming true. And what is truth for the man of purpose? It is not balance. It is not ease. It is not being well-rounded. It is this: structure, repetition, fire, aim. These are your new conditions. This is your true rhythm. And if you obey it long enough, your subconscious will rebuild itself around it. You will no longer have to remind yourself to focus. You will have become focus. You will no longer need to seek motivation. You will have become movement. Your life will no longer be about managing time. It will be about enforcing purpose. Your new structure begins now, and that structure is not complicated. It is simple, but sacred. Every day, one aim, reviewed aloud, one plan, written with clarity, one window of obsession, obeyed without distraction, one decision made without hesitation, one action taken before comfort awakens, one moment of silence where the old self is denied air and the new self is declared again. You do not need to do more. You need to do what you already said, with fire. You will feel resistance. It will come disguised as tiredness, as logic, as practicality. You must now recognize that voice. It is not guidance. It is decay. It is the echo of the man you were trained to be. And that man has no place in the life you are now enforcing. You must eliminate the word balance from your vocabulary. Strip it from your speech. Remove it from your thinking. Whenever you are tempted to say balance, replace it with fire. Replace it with obedience. Replace it with pursuit, because that is what you were made for. You are not here to entertain options. You are here to make decisions and build them into reality. You are not here to pause until you feel ready. You are here to move daily, deliberately, dangerously. You are not here to drift through seasons. You are here to enforce seasons, to assign meaning to your time, to give your days the dignity of direction. From this moment forward, your identity is built on movement. Your posture is fixed by discipline. Your mornings are structured. Your voice is sharpened. Your thoughts are reordered. You no longer belong to the culture of moderation. You belong to the kingdom of men who wake with purpose and finish what they start. Now I give you your challenge. For the next 30 days, eliminate the word balance from your speech. Eliminate the idea that you must be careful with your focus. Remove every habit that spreads your attention. Break your schedule into pillars, not puddles. Say no to every offer that dilutes your fire. Speak your aim aloud before the world speaks to you. Move before you are asked. Complete before you explain. Train before emotion catches up. You are no longer a man of delay. You are a man of declaration. And now your final affirmation. Say it loud. Say it until the old voice is silenced forever. I was not made for balance. I was made for purpose. I walk with fire. I finish what I start. Again. I was not made for balance. I was made for purpose. I walk with fire. I finish what I start. Because now you no longer ask the world for permission. You live as if your life is already proof. And that life begins today.